Okay, so let's take a look at how this findMinimum recursive algorithm works. We're going to take a much smaller array of numbers, just so it's easier to show you. So we're just going to have four numbers, 5, 3, 2, and 567 in the array. So that means the very first call to the method will pass the numbers, and the length, which in this case is four numbers, so number 4. We move down to line 3 in the code and we say if length is equal to 1, it's not, so I don't return anything. Line 7, if the minimum of rest array equals find minimum numbers length minus 1. Now, I can't put the value into this variable min of rest of array until I know the result of the method call find minimum numbers length minus 1. So at the moment, I'm just going to shorten that variable name to min and say, okay, well, I don't know the answer to that. So I've got to make the recursive call first, which is to send the numbers again. But this time the length minus 1, which will be 3. So looking at line 3 in the code, is length equal to 1? It's not. So now I need to find the min for this method. Again, I don't know the answer to this. So I've got to then call another recursive call where I pass the numbers and then length minus 1, which now is going to be 2. Okay, this is going to be the same problem. Line 3, length is not equal to 1. Min, I don't know what the minimum is. Again, so I can't put the result into the variable there. I need another recursive call where numbers is 1, length is 1. Okay, so now, is length equal to 1? It is. Return numbers 0. So that means we're going to access this number here in the array, the first one, and we're going to return that back to the previous method. So the value 5 is going to come all the way up here. And now I know the result of the method here. So I know this is now 5. Okay, and now this method here has finished. It's returned. Okay, this method here is now the one we're working on. So we've come back into this method. So we say, is the minimum less than the numbers of length minus 1? So the length in this method is 2. So minus 1 would be 1. So we're saying, is 5 less than this number here, 3? Which it's not. So we return the numbers of length minus 1. So in this case, we're going to then send the number 3 up here. So now we know in this method, let's just say, so now this method has now completed because it's returned. This one now has 3. So is min 3 less than minus 1? So we're now comparing it to 3 against 2. It's not. So then we send the number 2 and we return that from this one here. This is the line I'm looking at. So it returns length minus 1 up. That means I now know 2 is here. I now know this method has now finished. And we're back at the top level now. So now min equals 4 is min equals 2, sorry. Is 2 less than length minus 1, which is now looking at comparing it to this number. It is smaller, so I return the min. So then that number is the last one. So that one would be called to whatever called the method the first time and would likely be output. And as you can see, now this method is completed and this algorithm has been successful. We've gone through this array, we've returned the number 2, which is the minimum number.